Hi, good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching me from. My name is Timisan Ojabo and I'm the founder of the Isaac Works Academy. I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome back. I hope we enjoyed yesterday's session. I want to just do a quick check to be sure that you all can hear me, you can see me. Please be sure that if you can hear me in the chat, please let me know. If you can hear me, is the audio clear? Okay, okay, the audio is great. Glad, great job. So, good afternoon again, and welcome back, everyone, to day two of our series that we have been talking about. So, today we're talking about what to do after your KPI review, whether it is good or whether it went bad. Whichever way, what are you supposed to do when you um, you have had your KPI review? So I understand that my audience is very vast. That is, there's a combination of people within Africa and outside of Africa, and so different organizations have different ways that they run the KPI review. For some, they are having their KPI review around now. Some people had theirs in December before the end of last year, and some people had their KPI reviews early this year once they got back from the holidays. So today we're going to be talking about the focus is going to be on KPI reviews. So whether you had yours, whichever time you had yours, this conversation is for you. And if you've never had a KPI review, I think you are the best. You are in the you are this video is actually for you because it allows you to prepare, understand what is going to be expected of you in the future when you do get a job and you get to you get to be in a position where KPI reviews are done. Um, what I, Before we go ahead, please, if you have friends, families that you know that this video will be beneficial to, kindly share this video with them. It will mean a lot to us that you're sharing this video, just so that the word goes out there. Now, many people treat KPI reviews like it is something that happened to them. They forget that it is something that they can actively manage and leverage on. So the KPI review does not happen to you. It is a system that you, as an employee, can manage and leverage on. There's usually two reactions or more, because I've been opportune to sit in several KPI reviews and I've seen a lot of things happen. So the first reaction is in a KPI review, if the review is good, there's a lot of celebration, the employee is very happy, you know, the manager praises you, you even get a bonus, you get a raise, you feel elevated, you are happy, you're appreciated, you feel seen. And then it's like I won. And this is particularly if your organization has the review at the end of the year. So it's like they have scored you and you're good. You've gotten your bonus, you've blown it during 30 December or the end of the year, the events, all the things that happened. You're so happy with yourself and you say you have proven yourself. Now it's time for you to coast. Let's just relax. Let's let our hair down. Let's just, put our feet on the table and just relax. Then there's the second reaction, the bad review that leads to devastation, where this person got a negative review. The manager has highlighted areas where you have failed or fallen short. And now maybe you didn't get the rating. So it's different ways. Some people did what they thought was what was needed. And once the review came in, they saw that the rating was negative. So they didn't get what they were expecting. So there was no bonus. There was no accolades. There was no celebration, right? They feel crushed, they feel embarrassed, and sometimes some people get angry. And so they even kicked off the new work year with a lot of anger and resentment, not just for themselves, but for their bosses, their superiors, all the people that were a part of the review. And especially when these people get into a review and they got solid critical feedback, it can instigate that kind of anger at work. So this employee feels like life, this is so unfair. They don't see his or her values. Maybe they should start looking for another job. And a lot of people do this. They move once they get a poor KPI review. The next thing on their mind is, let me change jobs. Now, both of these reactions are neutral. You can't say that this reaction is good or bad because again, your remember what I said earlier that your KPI reviews, they don't happen to you. You can actively manage it and you can actively leverage it. Do you understand? You can actively manage your KPI reviews or you can leverage it. So let's go. When your reaction is natural, that is, you get the feedback. Before you go for the KPI review, you have critically looked at yourself and said, look, I didn't do well this year. I made a lot of mistakes. That is you reflecting to say, okay, I'm going into this KPI review knowing that the things that I was supposed to have done, I didn't do it. And so whatever I'm going to get, right, I know what to expect. That is your reaction. That's a natural reaction. So you're not going there like shocked with the feedback that your team members are giving you. But that is not the only way. Some people do that. Then some people go to their KPI reviews with all of their braggables, the things they've crushed and done, and they're going there excited. Whichever reaction you have when you get to a KPI review, I want to remind you that it can be leveraged. There's no lost hope. If you want to transform your career in 2026, you need to learn to be more strategic and not just emotional about your performance reviews because performance reviews are a thing, right? They're very important. Now, let me share something with you. In my research, right, and working with organizations over the years, I've seen that performance reviews are typically done and by what I'd like to call like a lagging indicator. They measure what already happened. They are always looking backwards, right? Because performance is what you have done, like how you have performed within the workplace. Now, I don't want you to get into the performance review trap. I came across um a research and like a scholar. His name is Dr. Edward Deming. He's the father of modern day quality management. And he actually argued that traditional performance reviews are fundamentally flawed. Remember earlier I just said that your performance review is always something you've done. They would always aggregate you based on things you have done, not what you say you will do, what you actually did, not the things that are in your head, what you actually did, not the things you thought about doing, but what you actually did. So Dr. Edwards said that he argued that traditional performance reviews are fundamentally flawed because they focus on outcomes that are often influenced by factors that are outside an employee's control. Things like market conditions, inflation, team dynamics, resource availability, the kind of superior you have within your workplace. But here's what I think that we need to continue to put in the front burner of our mind. Your performance review isn't the end of a conversation, it's the beginning of how you choose to plan for your next strategic move within your organization. So, whether it is good, whether it is bad, whether you're angry or whether you're happy, the question you should be asking yourself now is that isn't you don't be saying was it a fair because some people will still win at their performance review and they say, oh, I wish I got a 90, I didn't get a 99, I was aiming for 90, and they're upset, but they still remember they won, they did good, but they feel the numbers they got were not fair. Some people didn't do well and they feel that their numbers were not fair. But what I'd like to ask you now, as you're watching me, is what does this tell you about how you positioned yourself in 2025? And what do you need to do next? I'll say the question again. What does your performance review tell you about how you positioned yourself in 2025? And what do I do next? What do you do next? If your review was good, there's something called the momentum trap. You had a lot of people celebrate you, you're excited, you know. And because these were a lot of people that you looked up to, right? That their feedback is valuable, you are genuinely happy, right? But what I want to ask you now is a good review is not the destination. So whatever you have gotten in current um your current performance review, that is not a destination. Don't put a full stop where there's no full stop. Understand that that performance review is a platform, an opportunity for the next. I read a very interesting book, The Plateau Effect by Bob Sullivan, and it talks about how high performers often hit a plateau right after success because they unconsciously shift from growth mode to maintenance mode. Because again, growth is not easy. Maintaining, someone said that the hardest part of being rich is maintaining that wealth. So that's what this plateau effect is talking about. That there's this unconscious shift from growth for high flyers to let me just maintain the status quo, let me just not drop the ball, let me continue to stay in that place. And right, so you stay in that maintenance mode. You stop pushing yourself, you stop learning, you feel like you know every part of your job, you just need to keep it going and hope for the best, right? You also choose not to be visible. And then next year, when you have another performance review, you don't get promoted, you are upset. Why? Because first year or the last review was solid. So you thought that just maintaining that status quo is just enough. But that's it's not enough. That's just the platform. You now have to build on top of that performance for you to get promoted because you cannot do the same thing, even though it's high performance, and expect a promotion. That is the sweet spot that people forget oftentimes. So, what do you need to do? First, I would suggest you join the academy, the Isaac Workplace Academy. Why? Because we will help you document your wins. We will teach you how to document your wins immediately. So whenever I would strongly advise that everyone listening to me, you should have a success portfolio, a folder on your computer where you copy every accolade you get, every positive feedback you get, every thumbs up you get, wherever it is done, email, WhatsApp, Slack, screenshots, copy it, paste it, keep it there. Those are your braggables. That's your success portfolio. Then you write a note. Don't be, this is your future we are talking about. These are things that you will look back on and be proud of. So don't feel like we're asking you to do too much. When we tell you to write down a specific achievement your manager mentioned, when we tell you to quantify your results by numbers, by percentages, and timelines. When we tell you project how you write about a project you led and how you contributed to that project, don't be tired of documenting. When we say document your skills, the skills you demonstrated, document the feedback you receive from stakeholders, right? Don't be tired of documenting because you are not being arrogant. You are just building evidence so that when the time comes for your next raise and promotion, you have an opportunity. You have solid things that you can look back to say, this is something that I've worked on. And this brings me to a beautiful verse of the Bible that I really enjoy reading. And it's Proverbs 22, verse 29. And it says, do you see someone skilled in their work? They will serve before kings. They will not serve before officials of low ranks. But you cannot demonstrate this skill to kings if those skills you have not properly articulated them and you have not articulated them clearly, or your documentation is haphazard, it's not organized. Because your documentation is how you will honor the things, the strength, the skill that God has put in you and He has helped you to accomplish. So that when you now go for that next review, when you are reflecting on how much impact you have made, you can open your success portfolio and you can see all of the things that you did. The next point is ask strategic questions. Always schedule follow-up conversations with your managers. Don't do it immediately after reviews because it can be hectic, especially if you are in a team where your manager is overseeing 20 people. It's a lot. But I would always encourage that immediately after your KPI review, give it 2 weeks max, because by the 2 weeks mark, your manager would have been able to clean up. Don't he or she would have completed every other KPI reviews. They would have been sent in their report, so they are now more in a chilled um state of mind to be able to speak to you on a one-on-one. Book a one-on-one. Don't be afraid. Ask questions based on this review and my performance this year. What would you like? What would you need me to consider next year? Your manager would always tell you. And if your manager doesn't tell you, don't worry. That's why the academy is here for you. Join the academy. We will teach you ways to penetrate managers that are tough. But you need to ask your manager, because your manager is the one that has been given a blueprint. And then that blueprint, your manager is now breaking it down to the entire team. So your manager is in the best position to know. And remember, I'm using manager not as an official position, but just as a supervisory role above yours, someone you report to, because your manager can be a director, your manager can be a managing director, your manager can be a C-suite um, person, right? So it depends. I'm just using manager in this term to just identify your leading superior, right? So in the next, when you ask, don't just ask that, hey, what do I need to do to get promotion? Give your manager a timeline. This way, your manager knows that, look, you're ready for business, you're ready to do great work. So that timelines, I would say, don't go and ask for 5-year plan. No, because you don't know whether you're going to be within that company in 5 years. You also don't know whether that company will still be standing in 5 years. So what you ask is, what do I need to consider for the next level of promotion in the next 12 to 18 months? That's a nice sweet spot, right? What does this question do? It shows to your manager that, look, regardless of the feedback I got in my KPI review, whether positive or negative, I am forward thinking. I am not just coasting on praise, but I'm planning for my next level, and I'm planning with you. That means you're a team player. Do you see how you get your manager on your side? And please, caveat, don't go and ask these things and then they tell it to you. Then the manager's like, you had a goal. You're like, no, I don't want to do the goal. You're going to like, what about this thing? You're like, oh my God. You start giving excuses. You will ruin it. Your manager will give you a clear roadmap on what they expect from you. And then this puts your career progression in your manager's radar early. And this is why I said you have to do it within the first 2 weeks. Again, when you join the academy, we'll teach you how to build a good relationship with your manager so that you know. Sometimes you even know your manager is ready for you to have a one-on-one with them. Because some managers are on top of their game. In 1 week, they're done with everything. That time when everything is still fresh in their mind is when you book that one-on-one to get a review. Because what that happens is you come top of mind for your manager. The third thing you do is identify your growth edge. Even in your positive review, there's usually something like a skill that you could sharpen, a competency within your job role that needs to be developed, an area that you could expand on. So don't ignore it because you are riding on, oh, you're such a fantastic team player, or you got scored an 80. In the book by Carol Dweck, right? That mindset, you remember that famous New York best time seller? She shows people that with a growth mindset, when we receive feedback as a signal to stretch even further. Why people with a fixed mindset, right, see it as confirmation that they have arrived. So if you finish your KPI review and all you can think about is I've arrived, I'm a big girl, I'm a big boy, I've crushed it, there's no need to grow, you have a fixed mindset. But when you ask for positive feedback, you also ask for healthy criticism so that even with your great numbers, you want to build. That is a growth mindset. The difference is those in fixed mindset, they plateau. They hit a spot where they can't grow. They're just there, stuck. While those with a growth mindset, they keep growing. And then once you find that growth edge, you need to now create a 90-day plan to develop it. If your review was bad, this is your time. Group hug. I know it was hard. Okay? Just give yourself a hug right now. It's okay if it was hard. But what are you going to learn from that hard review? A bad review, the first thing I want to tell you, if you had a bad KPI review, remember that it is not a verdict on your worth. It is about data on a gap that has been seen. Never ever personalize your KPI review and target that this is who you are. You are in a growth mindset environment. So always think about the next steps and how you make it better, right? And what is a gap? That data you got from your supervisors, from your superiors, right? Is that the information that you now use to fill that gap that was a negative KPI review? Now, that gap is between the expectations your managers have and the execution of what you did. The gap is between what was communicated and what you understood within that work year or quarter or month, depending on the style of KPI reviews your organization embodies. That gap, again, is the gap between your capacity and the support that you have received. Because again, we have seen that some people get a poor a poor KPI review as a result of bad onboarding. Yes, we have seen that as a result of improper handover. We've seen those things happen. This is why you need to be in a system where it will be properly and clearly explained to you with our weekly webinar so that you truly understand what it is that you are in. Now, get honest again, just like the high flyer would do, same thing. Book a one on one with your manager after you've received your result and ask to get feedback. Get honest feedback, get strategic feedback, and keep it moving. I know some of us want to dwell there, but there's really no time. Now, here is how you can keep it moving. This is like a recovery roadmap for you if you had a negative KPI review. Process your emotions first. I beg you, don't escape to scrolling your phone, watching a movie, going for parties to sort of shut that part out of you as though it never happened. If you do that, you're setting yourself up for destruction. I'm telling you, there's something called workplace trauma, and that is you storing up the trauma within your body. If you want to know more about that, join the Isaac Works Academy, the 365 days career transformation that allows you to crush it in your workplace. So process your emotions first for the first 24 to 48 hours. Don't make any decision. Don't send any emotional email. Don't call anybody. Don't do nothing. Don't start job hunting out of anger. Don't trash talk your manager with your teammates. Don't do that. Feel what you need to feel, journal it, pray about it, and if you must talk to somebody, please talk to a trusted friend or a mentor outside of your work. This is very, very important because this is how you start to build how you speak to yourself. And then remember that the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and he saves those who are crushed in spirit. God sees you. He knows that this moment doesn't define you. Now, after that 48 hours time of rest, you have gone through the emotions, you know, it's time to move to strategy. Because again, time is not waiting. The workplace is not waiting for you to be done with your emotions. Work is going on month on month, day on day. Work is going on. So what do you do? Request a clarity conversation. When you go for that clarity conversation, please don't go there to go and advocate for yourself. Don't. I find that a lot of people do this. They go on the clarity call, they are trying to explain all the things that they are. It doesn't have any effect when you go there to explain. Do you know why? The scores they want to give you, they've given you. The KPI process is wrapped up. So you going there to go and see anything, it will do you more self-harm than good. So what your one-on-one with your manager is not to argue, It's not to defend yourself, but it's to get crystal clear expectations from your manager. It is for you to ask intelligent questions, not petty questions that are wrapped in emotional um undertones. Now, this also depends on the kind of relationship you have with your manager, because there are people that have a very close relationship with their managers, and they are free, they're sort of free to say those kinds of things. But I want to encourage you not to have those conversations at that time. Maybe if you want to now onboarding and just share with your friend that is your manager, you can do that outside the workspace. When you guys are not in the office, you're just hanging out and gisting, or you go to visit your families, you can have those emotional conversation. But at work, this one-on-one you're scheduling is to ask intelligent questions. Can you help me understand you, my manager, the specific behaviors or outcomes that I fell short on? You ask your manager, what does excellent performance look like on this role? Let them document as he's talking. Don't just listen. You know, some people, I don't understand. I don't know if it's the tech age that we're in. You carry your phone, you go to a meeting, a one-on-one with your manager, you take your phone. And in my mind, you say you're writing it on your phone. And to me, like, I know we're in the digital age and all those things, but whether you like it or not, as you're on that phone, a message you drop, you get distracted. It doesn't even show courtesy. So go with a journal like this. You should have one. You should have a journal, a workplace journal, something like this. Get a journal. When you go for meetings like this, and I'm going to sound like I'm telling you to buy a lot of journals, but one-on-one reviews, right? You should always have one journal that you never write anything else in that journal besides your feedback. Join the academy, we'll teach you all these things. Get help. Ask that for that feedback. And as your manager is speaking, intentionally write. Ask questions. Ask, what support or resources do you recommend me to help me do you recommend me to take to help me close the gaps that were obvious in my review? How often can we check in on my progress over the next 90 days? Ask questions. You see, I have found that many managers want to see you succeed. The problem is that many employees, their ego will not let them get the help that they need. So they struggle, build animosity between them and their manager, and then they wonder why they are not progressing on their role. So, your goal for this meeting is to walk away with specific, measurable, and measurable actions you can take. I'll say that again. Your goal in this meeting is to walk out of the meeting with specific and measurable actions you can take, so that when you come for another check-in, based on the first conversation you had and then the conversation you're having now, you can now look at the two and say, okay, this is where I'm at and this is what I need to do. It's clear. That's why you go with a journal, not with your phone. So that someone does not call you, say, as your manager is explaining, you say, oh, I have an emergency. It doesn't make any sense. Keep your phone away. And please, when you also go, it's important that you are listening to what your manager is saying. Don't ask for vague feedback. Don't say, um, how do I say this now? Um, what do you need me to do better? That's not an intelligent question to ask. Do you get what I'm saying? Don't just go and say, what did I do wrong? You already knew what you do wrong. You were in the KPI review. So you were there when your manager told you that, oh, there were things you didn't do right. So don't just go and say, oh, what did I do wrong? What should I? No. Ask specific questions. Was there a situation where you expected me to do X, Y? Because you remember, because please, let's not act like we're employees that we don't know when we are doing the wrong thing. You know what you did that was wrong. So when you're also going to your manager, ask questions like, can you give me a scenario where I dropped the ball? If you remember a scenario, walk him through or her through that scenario and say, can you highlight where I dropped the ball here? So that both of you are on the same page. And then you create a 90 days turnaround plan. What are going to be your weekly goals? What skills do you want to develop? What are you learning and improving? Weekly goals are very important. Very, very important. What visibility checkpoints are you going to be? How will you be communicating visibility? What feedback loops will you be using to check with your manager? Then you document the small wins as you go. Every Friday, you should be able to reflect and say, look, this is what I have built, this is what I accomplished, this is what I procrastinated on, this is where I dropped the ball, and then use it to plan for the next week. Now, while you are doing this, for some people who are in toxic work environments where KPI reviews are constantly used as a punching bag for them, used as a punch for the employees, you start to work on your exit strategy. Now I know what you're thinking. Ah, Temisa, should I just leave? Yes. If you're in a toxic place, you've tried to change, tried to speak to your PT members, you've tried to do all kinds of things, but they've not you need to leave. You are not a tree. Even trees, they move trees now, so you can move. But this exit strategy is for only those that are in toxic work environments. Okay? If you're not in a toxic work environment where you feel like nobody is intentionally victimizing you, then you can stay. It's very important. Now, if you're planning to leave, if you want to fight, okay, I would say talk about two scenarios. Some people are fighters, and I don't mean it in a violent way. They do not drop down. No matter how much you come at them, they are able to fight it. So, if you are that kind of person, take the feedback your manager gives to you, build the support and resources you will need, use the company culture to build an edge for yourself, and then believe in your next plan and then execute. But if that is if you want to choose to stay, if you choose to fight. But if you're planning an exit, these are the things you need to consider. When you did that one-on-one with your manager, was the feedback unfair? Were they constantly shifting? Were they unfair? If they were, then you now know that okay, maybe this person doesn't really like me, and no matter what I do, they will never accept me. So it's time to move. Also, another thing you can check is, are you being set up to fail? Yes, there are managers that there are scenarios like that. Businesses that are set up no matter what you do, there's nothing you can do about it. Is the environment toxic or psychologically unsafe? Have you lost trust in the leadership of in leadership or in your manager? These are things that you need to consider, right? Then update your resume, refresh your LinkedIn, and start networking and consider the next point out. You see how balanced this session has come, because we do not want you to be in a system where you are feeling like it's toxic, so toxic in a way that you can't function properly. We don't want you to have that. So please, it is important that you are always asking yourself, how are you stewarding this process? How are you showing up? What are the things you need to do? Now, there's a system you will need, right? You cannot manage and measure all of these things by yourself. You need to be in a place where you can be proactively managed, your career plans are developed, and you can see your career from a bird's eye view. And this is where the 365 days career transformation program comes in, where we help you, we track your weekly wins, your accomplishment, the skills you're developing, the feedback you're receiving, the goals you're working towards, your visibility activities, and all of these things. And we teach you how to document your evidence for your growth and your transformation, so that you have a lot of data, because your data gives you power to negotiate, to advocate for yourself, and to make informed decisions for your career. If you are interested in this, please look at the flyer, take a screenshot of the flyer on your screen, call the number, or send them a WhatsApp message. They will be happy to onboard you. When you pay the fee, the cost is 60,000 naira a year. That comes to about 164 naira a day. You can pay in installments if you want. You can book a slot with 10,000 naira, and then you pay the others, and then you join in, right? It is important that you are in a system that allows you to learn and become better. Don't play with this new year. This new year can change your life if you're willing to do the work. So the number to call is on the screen, on the flyer, but I'll say it out right now so that you can just write it out: 080 580 28683. Send that message on WhatsApp. I'll call it again: 080. If you are not in Nigeria, you can add the +234 code. That's the code for Nigeria: +234 80 580 28683. Please, we look forward to seeing you. We look forward to having you. Remember, 60K, you can blow it in one weekend. You can buy snacks and drinks, gifts, dresses, clothes, anything you like. You can do it with that money. But if you choose to invest in your career, that would unleash another level of wealth for you and your family. Take a chance on this course. And I'm sure you would be delighted that this will be the best 60,000 naira you ever spent. Thank you so much for being on this live stream. My name again is Temisan Ojabo. I am the founder of the Isaac Works Academy. So happy to be here with you, and enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.